Hello everybody, I hope you're doing well as usual. Recently in my teaching, I have been using this method of going through the process of self-realization by only exploring three basic concepts. So knowing yourself, in essence, is going to yield the understanding of three basic concepts that I think are essential to the spiritual path, because those are the ones in which everything ramifies from, in which everything branches out, and you can understand so many of the other concepts and practices and alleged paths that you need to take to heal yourself, to align yourself, etc., etc., etc. So these three concepts are going to be explained in an illustration first, and then we're going to go into the practical means. What does that mean for me? You're going to see familiar words here, and that's precisely the point, so you can also relate this illustration to reality, to your own being. And so we have to start, of course, with the wave, because we like the waves when we talk about consciousness and reality. You've probably heard, of course, the analogy of us being the ocean, and what we are seeing is the expression of the ocean as a wave, right? So this is no different than that, but we see it just as a simple wave, a graphic wave. And so our life is expressed in waves, in vibration. We say that life is vibration, so it really is. And so when we look at our mind, for example, we're going to find that this is what is the conditioned mind. Why? Because the conditioned mind is something that is repetitive, that is always repeating cycles over and over again. We can substitute this conditioned mind with ego, because that's what we're talking about. It's the conditioned self that has been structured in a way that we call it, I am this, I am that. So there is a lot of identity with these waves, and we keep repeating them. That's why our life becomes cyclical and becomes stagnant, boring. There's dissatisfaction all the time because we are repeating the same patterns, right? And so this is the conditioned mind. It's a way of vibrating, of being, of expressing yourself repetitively, right? And so at some point we realize in our lives that this is not who we are, and what we want something different, because there's something to be said about each one of us that has been, that's why it's called condition. It has been conditioned upon us that that's our image. And more often than not, that image includes, of course, the pride and grandiose of the ego, or the depressed and anxious ego. It's the same ego, only that one feels superior and the other is inferior. And there is a combination of these two, of course, which again is identification with form, with waves, with what we have. So you can actually identify each of these waves as, my preferences, my likes, my dislikes, and how we vibrate in terms of everything with the world. That's what's been conditioned to us. And somehow that is not satisfying, of course, because that's not who we truly are. And yet there is an expression that does vibrate and we feel great. So this is what we usually talk about, finding my purpose. So we can add that to, I'm going to put it here, down here, because we're going to find that purpose now, and I'll explain it. So purpose, that's what our life reflects. We want to find purpose in life. We have things that we do repetitively. Those are not satisfying. And so we want to find, of course, that which is fulfilling and satisfying. How do we do that? Well, we keep repeating certain things that people tell us to do, and we create more identities. I am this, I am that, I have this, I have that, and so on. And that's what feels like identify us. But sometimes these waves collapse and we can't repeat them anymore, because the condition that created our identity with that has collapsed. And so we say, oh, I had an awakening, I had a moment in which everything collapsed. And so I'm at this point of consciousness. And this is why you have heard that people who are depressed or have a very emotional moment, they get in touch with this. They may not know it, but they're getting in touch with that. And so anybody who has fallen down in a very big depression is actually very fertile for sprouting something new, from awakening, right? And so this is why I put consciousness here at the bottom, because in reality, there is only one line. There is no conditioned mind and then consciousness. This line is the same. It's just that it has been modulated in a way due to external stimulus, right? So try to think of the blue line and the black line as one. But I want to make the distinction here for you to know that this is ever present and is unaffected by the vibration, right? We can call this the vibration of the blue line. But once we identify with the vibration of the line itself, then we start getting into wrong identities. So again, try to think of both as one, but for the purpose of studying it, let's dissect it and let's put it down here, because it's going to become important when we get down to the solution, which I'm just going to call meditation. But it's not really just meditation. It's the essence of meditation. And in fact, I'll add it here. Essence. Because we don't want just to think that there is a specific pose for meditation, and so I do that and then I'm back in the world. You want to bring the essence of meditation with you. So again, what do we have so far? We have a life that has been conditioned, labels, 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 me, I am this, I am that, repetitive cycles, that's the conditioned mind, the ego, separate self, and so on. That which makes us feel in dissatisfaction with life, period. Then, of course, we have the recognition that there is an awareness, there is consciousness, but we still don't know it yet. We are just being drawn by all this ups and downs, and we get closer and closer to these states of awareness, of pure awareness. But at some point we say, enough of this. I'm going to just do it myself. I'm going to drive these waves all the way down. And that's where we get into the essence of meditation, because we realize that there is something behind. And this is what I call knowing yourself. What I teach is always prefaced by know yourself. And we go into the first step of self-inquiry is to go straight into the essence of being, of who you are. And so we get in touch with this. And from here is that we identify these waves and we say, oh yes, that's not me. That's just an activity that it's repeating there. And because of that, we're able to bring the essence of meditation into our lives. We begin to see, oh, this is what meditation is really about. You see? And so what's happening here is that the conditioned mind is no longer operating from the ego structure, from the separate self, from the idea that I am something. And so I'm illustrating this here as the essence of meditation begins to bring this down to the simple state of being. And now what happens is that, and again, I told you that this is the same line, but now we can see that as we bring more the essence of meditation in our lives, then this line starts to make its own waves. Yeah? It still will modulate itself. You see? Remember, this is just one line, but let's say the black line was dominated by the ego structure, the conditioned mind. And now that it has been divested from identities, awareness itself, an intelligence that is beyond our thinking mind, is able to take, as it were, control. It's not taking control, it's just opening itself, it's allowing itself to be. And that's what we mean with purpose. So purpose starts here, when we begin to allow this intelligence, which goes beyond us, of course, to modulate our reality. We're not interested anymore in the controlling mind, that one which thinks that is in control and is somehow doing life. It's organizing life, and it's dominating things and manipulating things for its own benefit. That doesn't exist anymore, because we have revealed by self-knowledge that such a thing doesn't exist. We go straight into the experience of knowing that we are not creating our identity, our mind. We're not in control of that. That's being lived by an intelligence that goes beyond us, the thinking mind. I'm talking about the pronoun us as the thinking mind. It goes beyond that thinking mind, and it's actually us. So in a way, when I say we are not creating our own life, we're not in control of it, I'm talking about the conditioned mind, the ego. Once we know ourselves, we say, oh, I am in control, but this I am is not something that I control. You see, it has its own way of allowing things to be. And you see, the difference here is that in this modulated self-modulated self, if that makes sense, the ego-controlled mind, that is characterized by lack, by suffering, by dissatisfaction. Whereas here, there is a sense of abundance, of happiness, joy, and peace. So this is a way to see all three elements, which are, again, awareness. That's what we are. Then there is the conditioned mind, which we call the ego, and we want to identify. How do we do it? We first need to know who we are fundamentally. If we don't know who we are, then we're always liable to keep believing that we are something conditioned by the external world. And lastly, meditation. Meditation is what not only discerns these two, but allows the higher intelligence, deeper intelligence, superior intelligence, whatever you want to call it, your true intelligence, to take control of life, to you allow yourself to be lived by something greater than you. And how does it feel? It feels awesome. It feels great. It feels just, it's not an ecstatic sensation, but just a sensation of peace, equanimity, and feeling fine with everything. That's what we seek. We don't seek exciting moments and ecstatic moments. We are only seeking for equanimity with everything, just to be fine with anything that happens. There is no good, there is no bad. There is just things happening, and we are fine with it. And that's this part here. I'll put a last word, which is hand in hand with meditation. This is called healing. So there you go. Those are really all the aspects of the spiritual path. Knowing yourself so you can discern the ego and allow it to dissolve while you are in the essence of meditation or abiding in yourself. That produces healing, and healing reveals your purpose. It's that simple. Now, all of this again is just a visualization. Your life is what you need to explore, because your life is totally and completely individual to you. Only you know your life. If you need help with this, of course, this is what I do. And of course, you're going to find all my work in my Instagram, which you're going to see in the description below. You can just find me there, see what I'm all about. And of course, you can just text me there and find me so we can get talking, because this is what I teach. It's a very simple teaching, and it contains everything. It's what we call the direct path. You should know it by now if you're here on my channel. So if you want to check it out, go ahead and follow me there, or just send me a text. I hope you are doing great with the rest of your day, and with nothing else to say, I'll see you in the next video.